What is up, guys? J'espère que vous allez bien, que vous êtes en pleine forme. Bienvenue sur le podcast Conversation Awesome avec Qu'il. A place where we speak Franglish, say the word awesome a lot, mais surtout un endroit d'inspiration et d'éducation pour vous aider à optimiser votre santé globale from the inside out. Mon nom est Claudia, fondatrice de Qu'il, et ma mission avec ce podcast est de t'amener dans un monde de développement personnel, d'optimisation d'habitudes de vie et de découverte so you can unleash your potential and live the life you truly want and deserve. Merci d'être à l'écoute. You're awesome. Hey, what is up, beautiful souls? Welcome to the show if this is your first time et re-bienvenue si tu es ici à chaque semaine. Aujourd'hui, je m'assois avec une de mes precious friends, soul sister, Joumana. J'aime vraiment ça, inviter mes amis sur le podcast parce que, ça me permet d'être dans une position de leur donner l'opportunité d'être invité sur un podcast. Ça a l'air de rien, mais moi, je me souviens, la première fois que je me suis fait inviter sur un autre podcast, c'était quand même un big deal. Tu sais, c'est quand même quelque chose de cool, puis de te faire poser des questions, ça nous permet aussi de tomber dans les réflexions, les prises de conscience, puis de juste avoir quelque chose pour lesquels on est fiers, tu sais, puis on se sent accompli. Fait que je trouve ça vraiment empowering pour moi de pouvoir permettre à mes amis d'avoir cette expérience-là sur mon podcast. Et deux aussi, j'ai des amis vraiment awesome dans la vie, des soul sisters qui ont des histoires super inspirantes, qui sont comme moi, comme toi, comme toutes les femmes qui veulent juste s'améliorer, devenir une meilleure mère, une meilleure femme, une meilleure cousine, une meilleure sœur, une meilleure fille, une meilleure humaine, en fait, à travers un processus de guérison que j'appelle un healing journey, à travers le développement personnel, à travers des éveils spirituels aussi. Et j'adore avoir ce genre de conversation-là où est-ce qu'on peut écouter l'histoire de quelqu'un who's walking side by side with us, qui est sur le même journey que nous, peut-être pas à la même vitesse, mais qui aspire à, comme je disais, grandir, évoluer et se rapprocher de cette fameuse meilleure version de nous-mêmes. Fait que voilà pourquoi je voulais inviter Jo aujourd'hui. She shares her story, she shares her struggles, her healing journey, ses intentions aussi qui ont beaucoup changé dans les dernières années en tant qu'effectivement son rôle de mère, mais aussi son grand changement de carrière. So we're gonna dive into all of that. Puis ça m'a rendu vraiment, vraiment fière de l'écouter puis de l'entendre après ces années-là de work. Pouvoir être capable de s'exprimer comme ça avec cette sagesse-là qui a été acquise dans les dernières années, avec les leçons apprises aussi, qui, moi, m'ont même donné des rappels, justement, des choses que je garde en tête dans mon quotidien et qui, je sais, saura vous inspirer. Alors, sans plus tarder, je vous laisse écouter la belle conversation awesome qu'on a eue. The conversation is in English, avec un peu de Franglish dedans, parce que c'est comme ça que moi puis Ju, on se parle. Et as always, si vous avez des questions, des commentaires, du feedback pour nous, faites-nous signe après avoir écouté l'épisode. Bonne écoute! All right, I'm sitting here with my beautiful friend, Joumana. Ju, thank you for being here.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm so honored.
So grateful.
So grateful. My favorite word.
I feel like in the past couple of years, as we have become friends, we've had a lot of soul-to-soul conversations.
Yes.
So I'm really grateful, to use your favorite word, to have you here so we can share a soul-to-soul conversation that will inspire people who are listening to us today.
I really hope that it does. And I mean, it's all truly, a true experience. We're all human. We all go through things. And sometimes we have to put everything on pause and analyze and just adjust. So here we are.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. You had to take a pause from your life, pretty much everything.
Yeah.
So walk us through first the signs and the hints, and the symptoms maybe, or how you were feeling on a day-to-day basis. Are like, okay, wait, peut-être qu'il y a quelque chose qui fonctionne pas. I need to stop. Maybe I need to, like you said, readjust, calibrate, make some changes in my life. So what happened in the last couple of years?
So, I want to say it was, between 18 to 24 months, I started noticing that I was having a lot more anxiety, palpitation, frustration. I was impatient. And I think that was also, it started way before that. But around that 18-month mark, that's when it was like the symptoms were amplified. And it's like, you know, I was like reaching up for a box in my cupboard and like my hand was shaking. And it was like, okay, like, c'est pas normal, you know what I mean? So yeah, and you know, I went to go see my doctor, and I was like, my whole life, and it's like, I think we're gonna take a little break from everything. So yeah, it was just, you know, like the ongoing palpitations. Like I could feel my heart pumping through my chest. You know what I mean? Like I could physically see it, I could feel it, and it was like so intense that it was, you know, like I could feel it in my head almost. You know, it was just so, and I was sad, I was down, I was, you know, like stressed out about money and about the house and about the cleaning and the chores, and we'll go into like the other things, but it was just, like I crashed. I literally crashed, you know? And it was a particular conversation qui a vraiment fait la goutte, qui a fait déborder le vase, and then I went to my doctors. I was like, yeah, there's no way. I can't function. Like, I can barely talk to you right now. You know what I mean? So, so that's where the physical symptoms and emotional symptoms kind of like collided. Yeah. And, you know, like I said, you know, the shakes were really like
scary. I kind of.
It was really, it was really scary because like I've been strong all my life and, you know, like pushing through and resilient and all that stuff. And when the shakes started happening, I was like, okay, like, no, ça marche plus. So yeah. But I'm grateful for it all because here I am.
Exactly. It always happens for a reason.
Always.
Why do you think we have to wait for the shakes, for the breakdown, for the...
We don't. Ugh.
What are some signs that maybe now in hindsight that you were starting to feel or notice, but maybe you ignored, or... You know what I mean? Like, waited to get to that point where you had to show up to your doctor and be like, look, je suis pas fonctionnelle.
Yeah, so like I was saying, like, we really don't have to wait. You know, because as women, right? As women, as a mother, as a girlfriend, wife, partner, we do so much for everyone and everything. We do so much for the house, we do so much for our children, for our partner, we manage, we book appointments, we do it all. And we take on so much, so if we break down, like, who's going to take care of all this stuff? Nobody. Like, everything's going to fall apart. So it's like, we can't fall apart, because then if we fall apart, everything falls apart. So I think that I waited as long as I waited because I you know, in hindsight, I was in survival mode my whole life. You know what I mean? So I was just pushing through and having to do and get things done, and, you know, things gonna get better, and this too shall pass, and, you know, which can be true, but
at what cost?
Like, at what cost? Is it really worth it? Like, as much as I wanted to, like, remain resilient and push through and keep going, genre, mon corps suivait plus. My body wasn't following anymore, and that was like, crash, you know? So, yeah.
So what are some of the first steps that you did when you were like, okay, I'm done, got my note from my doctor, self-care, habits, changes? What are the first key changes?
So I went to go see my doctor. I'm, you know, very fortunate to be living in Quebec and have a family doctor that I had gotten, like, I was on the waiting list forever, and I had gotten this doctor in, like, less than 6 months, you know?
Thanks, universe.
Listen, deliver always on time. So I went to my doctor. I mean, I knew that he was going to put me off work. I've worked in disability for many, many years, so I know how that kind of stuff works. But, so I went to go see my doctor, you know, contacted the job and be like, listen, I'm off of work, you know.
Was there any guilt? I was just going to ask that.
Oh my goodness,
was there any guilt? Yeah.
Listen, you know, I work in the insurance industry. I've worked in disability. I worked in mental health. I was like, if I break down, how's everything? And you know what?
Relate to that.
It could. You know, the monsters are going to keep doing their thing. You know, the machine it's the well-oiled machine, and they did just fine without me. You know what I mean? So I went off of work, and then I was like, okay, I need to see a therapist. Like, you know what I mean? and I've seen a therapist in the past as well for like different issues over the years. You know, I'm like now 37 years old. So I had done therapy in the past in like short segments. But I knew that I was like all these physical symptoms. I needed tools. Yeah. I needed more tools in my toolbox and really know how to tangibly apply them to my life, you know? And, you know, I didn't want to go on meds. I don't want to like get into all of that. I really wanted to heal from the inside out.
Amen.
So I started doing the therapy. I eventually did start taking antidepressants for a short period of time. I was so like, there was so much blood. I was like, I don't want to. And it was like, you know, I had a prescription and it sat there for a while. And then, you know, I bought the medication and it sat there for a while. And then, you know, eventually I was like, you know, I did it for like, all in all, maybe like 6 months. And then after that, I was like, I'm over it. So yeah, the therapy and then just taking care of myself.
What does that mean to you right now? What did that mean for you then? And then what does that mean for you right now? Self-care.
At the time, and then to do nothing. I was like, I just want to veg and do nothing. Nobody bother me. Don't ask me for nothing. I just want to lay there, you know? So, I mean, I think that was very needed at that time. Definitely, absolutely. Now it definitely means a lot more than that. You know what I mean? I think that self-care, you have to be very proactive. It's not a passive laying on the couch and Netflixing and chill, you know? So what that means for me now, again, very active. So, you know, like moving my body, eating the right things, drinking the right things, cutting out the stuff that are not serving me in the best way, right? The mental aspect of it, right? So meditating has really like changed the game for me. Although I feel like, you know, like I could definitely like refine my meditation or my schedule and make it more constant. But I'm being gentle with myself. I'm flowing with it. You know, if I feel I need it, the deep breath, reconnecting and grounding, like that really quick, like if I'm feeling triggered by something, you know, I'll close my eyes. I'll like really anchor my feet into the ground and I'll take my 10 deep breaths. And that in itself will definitely just appease my nervous system.
Yes.
Instead of being in my fight or flight, in my flight, right?
Yeah.
So that definitely helps. And then, you know, just doing things for myself, right? Like we're always so busy again, you know, like the schedule and the activities and driving here and the drop-offs and the birthday parties. Mind you, it was COVID, so there wasn't really that many birthday parties happening, but you know, or also the other big thing was really like maintaining my social life because I'm a very social person. I love people. I love to be around people. You get caught up, right? Like I couldn't say no for the life of me. So, you know, like going to everything and, you know, like, and if I couldn't make something, I had FOMO because of it. And it was like, oh my God. And then
more stress, more anxiety.
Like it was an endless cycle of like triggers and stressors and anxiety. And so then it was February, I went off of work. And pandemic hit like March. So I was literally like, again, thank you, universe. Yeah. I think that the pandemic, as like horrible, as terrible as it was a blessing in disguise, at least for myself, right? So the world stopped. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. So all I had to do was to just be home and just in my space and not having to worry about, I have to be here and I have to do this. So,
Slowing down
without feeling guilty. And that's, again, a work in progress. You know, there's always, and you know, and I guess we'll dig into that a little bit further, but the guilt, right? The guilt is an emotion that is rooted, you know, decades and decades and, you know, generation perhaps, right? So that's always going to be a work in progress, but I feel that I'm in the best shape physically, emotionally, mentally that I've been, you know? Maybe not physically. I might have been in a better shape physically, but mentally and emotionally, like the awareness that I've gained over the years has been exponential and it's a game changer. So, yeah.
Because you went on a healing journey. I mean, it could have been easier for you to be like, okay, the world is shut down. Don't need to go anywhere. I'm just going to veg and chill and stay in that lower vibing, negative, emotional cycle. We're like, no, like I'm here, let's do the work. So you went on a healing journey with therapy, with different modalities, a lot of inner child healing as well.
Yeah.
You did the work. Yeah. What I call the work on all my podcast episodes. It's called the work for a reason.
Yeah.
Not always comfortable. Comfortable.
The absolute opposite of comfortable. It's scary and
It doesn't end, which is a good thing. There's always layers of the onions that we can peel and the triggers that we can notice. Walk us through some lessons learned, some aha moments, some transformational patterns or limiting beliefs that you got rid of.
Oh my goodness.
You went back, in your childhood and like your relationship with your mom and what happened with her and all of that. So
I think that when I really noticed that there was an issue with my nervous system and that I had like anxiety was postpartum with my first. So Jackson was now 7. I have Brandon that's 5. So after I had Jackson, I was starting noticing the anxiety. So like fluctuation of moods, the palpitation, just being anxious generally, the cries, like the sudden onset of cries. But, I was telling myself, I'm like, okay, I'm a new mom, hormones, postpartum, which in retrospect, that's also, a generational thing. So my mother also suffered from postpartum depression. And unfortunately, she passed away when I was a baby, ultimately. So she took her own life. So mental health was always, it was always around, like in my world without really being
talked about, I guess.
Like talked about or something that was really affecting me
right
at that point in time, right? Like that, it's never a thought that's crossed my mind. But I was like, okay, my mom had postpartum depression. I'm having postpartum symptoms. I'm like, c'est normal. This too shall pass. We'll be okay. So we keep on threading and keep on threading. And then super mom, doing the do. And then, I had Brandon. So let's keep in mind that like things are piling up, right? Like it's the taking care of the house and it's like being a good partner and working on your relationship and being a good mom and taking care of their needs and da-da-da-da. And then after I had Brandon, so 2 years when I was 5, so it was about 3. So, that toddler phase. So my youngest was at that toddler phase and then, JJ a little bit older. And then the triggers just became like exponential. You know what I mean? And now in hindsight, becoming a mother was what really flicked the switch, I guess. So I'm not really finding the words, but c'est vraiment ça qui a déclenché le fait que, okay, like, that's not working out, I was like, again, like super impatient and screaming and just like not being the mother that I wanted to be. And in those moments of anger or reaction and frustration, I would look at my children and then see myself as a child, and I was like my dad, And I was like, holy fuck. Like I was like this.
Repeating the pattern. And I was like, no. I had, I guess you want to say somewhat traumatic childhood, with, the loss of my mom and then, like the different cultural backgrounds and, like my dad has been on survival mode, forever and is still in survival mode. You know what I mean? Like for him, he was just needed to survive, he needed to make money and make sure that, like we were taken care of. But that emotional aspect was never, and it's like a generational thing and a cultural thing. Like for that, like it's not even a thing. What do you mean? What's mental health? What are you talking about? Like that, it's taboo. Just get yourself together, right? Like, hence why we're, figure it out.
Exactly. Hence why we are here, what we are, right? So I was like, I do not want to be that parent, right? Because I can now see the damage that it did to me, right? And my dad did the best that he could with what he had at the time. Okay, so it's like, over time I've like removed myself from this victimizing mentality, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm like this because this is how I was raised. Like, he did what he could, okay? He comes from war, like my dad immigrated from Lebanon in the 70s because there was a civil war. Like, he literally wanted to survive, you know what I mean? So when he got here, that's all he knew, right?
That's how his nervous system was wired.
That's all he knew. Yeah. But here I was in 2019 or something, I don't remember, when the pandemic happened. 2020. You know what I mean? Time is an illusion. Like, I don't even know. And I was like, no, we're gonna... And that, and that was I wanted to do it for my children. As much as I wanted to do it for myself, I was like, I want to be a better parent for my children so that they can grow and have emotional stability and have healthy relationship with their friends, with their partner. You know, like emotional health affects so many different facets of our life. You know what I mean? You know, like work interactions and, you know, like self-talk and all of that stuff. So I wanted to be better. I've also, so besides the therapy, so I've worked, you know, like I've spoken to the therapist about, you know, like the triggers and how, you know, I see myself with my children and stuff like that, but I needed tools to also be a better parent. So in Quebec, I contacted the CLSC, contacted the social worker. I was part of a parent group that was basically, you know, like giving tools to parents to, you know, like manage tantrums and manage emotion, all that stuff, you know. And so that was super, super helpful. So anybody that's in Quebec that's having issues with like managing kids, call your CLSC, man. We pay taxes. We have RAMQ. Use your benefits. It's free, literally free, you know? And it was by Zoom. Like it was awesome. It was all in all a great experience.
Was there any shame to have to go outside of yourself to find resources or?
No. Because, like, I recognized that I needed the help. I just wasn't equipped for it. Like, I just didn't know how to, like, appease a tantrum or how to manage these kind of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once I got in this parent group, I was so grateful because these stories, like, knock on wood, my children are healthy, you know, like, we don't have any type of diagnoses or anything like that. So it was, like, really, like, baseline, you know, like the beginning of, you know, what could potentially become bigger problems down the line. I was listening to these parents, like parents in tears and teenagers with like depression and like younger kids with like, you know, special needs and in school, like, you know, I was sitting here and I was like, oh my God, like I have nothing to complain about. You know what I mean? So that was also, 1,000%.
Yeah.
That definitely, so the shame wasn't really part of it. No, it wasn't part of it. Good. And you know, like, there was obviously like times that I was really emotional, and I'm a super emotional person, and again I'm a people person, so like I would listen to like a mom talk or whatever and I would just start crying and I was just like, you know, trying to keep it, like
hold it together, woman.
But so it was definitely beautiful to connect with like people that are going through similar situations, you know. So yeah.
What's the biggest lesson that you've learned becoming a mom?
That we have the power to break cycles.
Just got goosebumps.
We have the power to make a change. We don't have to repeat these patterns, you know? It's not because we were raised a certain way that we have to go and inflict those same behaviors onto our children. Because then they're also maybe going to have children. And then, you know what I mean? It's generational trauma, right?
Absolutely.
So that I had the power, and it was the most empowering thing, you know, to realize that like I don't have to be this way. I can change, you know, and the awareness, like holy crap.
I always say that, like, and you know me, I've been coaching you, we've been friends forever. I mean, it's awareness, la prise de conscience. It's always the first step, because if you didn't have that moment of like, wait a second, what kind of mom am I being right now? Like being triggered and yelling and screaming. Je prends conscience, like I have the awareness that I don't want to be this mom. But if you don't have that awareness,
just that piece though, just the awareness, that's where the shame comes in, that's where the guilt comes in, that's where so that was like the stepping stone for like the rest of the healing and the growth. But that I had to be there for a while, and
you have to be there for a while.
I now in retrospect, that we're talking about it, I think that I had to be there for years, right? Because I waited until I had my second child to be like, oh shit, like, can we curse on this podcast?
Yes, you can curse.
Okay.
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
So it took years. I had to be in that awareness for years, and the awareness and it was like, you know, like me repeating those patterns and those behaviors and those feelings, and you know, just sweeping things under the rug, or it was like, oh, I'll deal with that later, or like,
I don't have time, I don't have capacity, I don't want to admit it to myself, you know, and
I don't have time, or I can't afford it, or I can't do, you know, like so many things that we tell ourselves that, you know, we deserve it. If we can't give it to ourselves, like, you know, it's like, how can you love a partner if you don't love yourself first? You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of people go into these relationships trying to find love outside of themselves.
Happiness, success, everything outside
like,
of
I need
ourselves.
somebody to love me. No, you need to love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, how are you supposed to give someone love? And if you can't, and how are they supposed to give that back to you? Right? So, it all starts within. So
yeah, thank you for sharing. And you're right, like we have to sit in these emotions because again, we don't learn that in school, and our parents probably did not teach us how to, notice, express, feel these emotions. So it's okay to feel guilty or like to feel shame or to be depressed or to be sad, and it's learning how to be aware of these emotions and then listen to the message. Like emotions are messengers.
Yeah,
if you feel sad today, there's a reason why. Tune in, slow down, quiet your mind, ask yourself, what is it that am I feeling?
Yeah.
Good or bad? No, specifically. Are you sad? Are you do you feel guilty? Are you ashamed? Are you frustrated? Are you annoyed? Are you bored? And then, okay, why am I feeling this way?
Why is that linked to that, right?
Yeah. And then
7 layers, eh?
Yeah, and then you have the power to make a different decision.
Yeah.
We're always one decision away from a completely different life. That's one of my favorite quotes.
I love that.
You know, so when you said, I can change today. Yes, you can. Not because you did X for 10 years that you can do Y for, the rest of the whatever. So.
And, like going through all this healing, like my own personal healing and development and becoming a better mother, I became a better human, a better partner, a better, daughter, a better sister. Like all in all, I was able to share the wisdom and share the knowledge with people that I love, right? That are I'm surrounded by, on a day-to-day. And, it's like we say, if instead of wanting to change the world, we have to change ourselves first, If we all did the work internally first, we'd be in such a better place.
Oh my God,
but, that's to each their own, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the other thing you were saying earlier about emotions or lessons or triggers.
Yeah.
We tend to be like, oh, I'm triggered by this. And don't run from your triggers. Your triggers are the lesson. They're there to teach you something. Messages. Why is that triggering you?
Yeah.
Because of da-da-da-da, right?
Sure.
So I actually have like a mirror next to my bed, and I have like those like white chalk markers and stuff like that, and I have it like in bold. Don't run from your triggers. And every morning when I get up and I look at the mirror, I was like, today, Ju, don't run from your triggers. Yeah. Just whatever it is, you're strong enough to face it. And
hear the message, just like emotions, and we're like you said, like being a bit in the victim mentality, like he did this to me because of my mom or because of this colleague, I feel this way, or I was triggered. Yeah. It has nothing to do with them.
It's like, what it is?
Nothing to do with them.
It's justifying to yourself. Well, for me, it was that. For me, I wasn't realizing that it was like victimizing myself. I was just trying to understand the why. I wanted to understand, why am I feeling this way? Yeah. Well, because I was raised in this environment, so it's just normal that I am the way that I am now, right? Okay, that's great. Yeah. Right? Awareness.
Yeah, understanding where it comes from.
Okay. Sure. Puis là après, what do we do with that? Yeah. Huh? Okay, I was like, you're gonna sit here and like, Mom's like, oh, well, like that. No. Like, you have the power to make a change and to get yourself outside of, and it's like, that's where the growth happens though, right?
Absolutely.
The awareness is the stepping stone, and then the healing part and the breaking the patterns,
new decisions, new habits, new responses, and not reaction.
Oh yes, I love that one actually.
Yeah, I learning how to respond and not react.
My favorite.
It's
huge.
It's huge.
Tiny
difference, huge difference.
Yeah. Like with the kids, right? Like that's where I guess I started applying. I mean, in general, I was applying in like different like somebody cuts me off on the road. You know what I mean? Instead of being like, I was like, this person's clearly having a bad day. It's just
respond. Exactly. Yeah, the moment will happen regardless of your reaction. Yeah, that's another one of my favorite mantras, and that's in the book Living Untethered or Untethered Soul, two of my favorite books of like all time. And that's what he says. He's like, look to your right. The moment that's happening right now, first of all, it took like billions of years for this moment to happen. Yeah. So you're nothing. So like, stop. You're not special.
Right.
Look to your left. Same thing. Everything that's happening around us, it's going to happen regardless of our reaction.
Yeah. It's how we respond.
How we observe. how we're in tune with like, why am I feeling this way because of this moment? What do I need to learn? Yeah. Where is this trigger coming from? And another one of my mantras is, you're not responsible for the programming that you got when you were a child, but you're responsible for your healing and your deprogramming.
Yes.
So did you have to do a lot of forgiveness for like your parents, for yourself?
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, forgiveness is huge, and that's another concept that we don't learn about and we don't prioritize, and it's so important.
And recognizing that the key, and I was telling this to myself for years, not really understanding what that meant. Forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for yourself.
Yeah.
And, there's been, various relationships throughout my childhood and my life that were toxic. And, there was a lot of resentment and a lot of anger and a lot of frustration. And I think that I still battle with it some days. I feel that over the past 6 months, there's been some growth there for me.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm trying to not to hold on to that resentment, that anger, and that recognize that person also has a story and triggers and lived through wars, and
it has nothing to do with you.
It has nothing to do with you. Yeah. Although as a child, you know what I mean, like the actions that were like, that were placed towards me, I guess you were saying, or the things that were said to me, or you know what I mean, like there was a lot of resentment and like anger.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's an ongoing thing. Some days I'm like very like kumbaya, and then some days I'm like, fuck this person. But balance, yes, polarities. So forgiveness is huge. You would have asked me 2 years ago, like, the whole relationship with your dad, stuff like that, like victim blaming again, you know. So once I moved away from that, I was able to, forgive and be like, he did the best he could with what he had. Losing my mom, you know what I mean? Like all of that, like he escaped war and
his
like
traumas,
it could, like huge. I'm here complaining, like I don't know what war is. Can you imagine like trying to sleep at night and all you're hearing is like bombings and like fire guns and like, you know what I mean? Like how do you function, right, in a healthy way without helps and without tools, without you're just surviving, right?
Yeah.
So definitely a lot of forgiveness. Yeah, a lot of forgiveness.
Yeah, there's the I can never say this word properly. Opo'opono. I don't know if you've heard that. It's
no, teach me something new today, Claudia. My fountain of knowledge friend.
That's my nickname from Jew. Opo'opono. Anyway, it's in Hawaii.
Okay.
So there's like a book about it. There's like, just Google it if you can spell it properly.
Bella, you need to give me the proper name if you want me to Google it.
So basically, it's a forgiveness exercise.
Okay.
And for example, like, okay, I forgive myself for binging last night.
Okay.
Or I forgive my dad for yelling at me, in my childhood, whatever that is. And then you can just write this. I love writing, so I usually write in my journal. You can just say it in your head. And then you go through... thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, I forgive you. And I might mix the order of these 4 sentences, but basically like, I'm sorry, I forgive you, thank you, I love you. And then you just repeat these 4 tiny phrases until you feel the anchors leaving your body, until you feel the forgiveness in your heart. And you might not feel it right away, so you just keep that statement and then you try again the next day. You can do that in front of a mirror and just be like, I forgive myself for binging last night. I'm sorry. And you look at yourself, like, I'm sorry. I forgive you. I love you. Thank you. And it's just a very healing, powerful forgiveness exercise. So
I'm actually going to try that.
I'm
going to definitely try that. It's, again, my fountain of knowledge.
But yeah, anybody who's listening who feels like you're holding resentment or anger, frustrations, for anybody else or even for yourself, I know for me, when I started doing a lot of forgiveness work, it was so easy to forgive everybody else because I was like, I have empathy for them. They didn't know any better. They tried their best. I have nothing to hold against them. But then trying to forgive myself, it took me a while. And they're still stuck. I'm like, I'm still too hard on myself.
We're always the hardest on ourselves, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So easy to forgive other people, but...
Yeah, so that was a powerful exercise for me. So
thank you for sharing.
Anybody listening? Yes. Okay, so a lot of healing, becoming a better person, better mom. And then from that came a huge awakening.
Aha moments.
Yes, as they always come when we do the work on ourselves. With your career and an inner gift that has been blooming in the last 6 months. So... yeah, I want you to share the story, the aha moment, the download from the universe.
Yes.
When you were getting your massage and you're like, oh my God. So share that story because it's a beautiful story.
So it was the day before my birthday. So last year, 2021. And I was like, okay. I took
self-care.
So a day of self-care. I was like, okay, I'm going to go get myself a massage. And I'm going to go for lunch, my favorite restaurant. Shout out to Le Gourmand in Pointe-Claire Village. Amazing food. And so it was at Vibration Home, or they also call it Home West in Pointe-Claire Village. And it was my first time going there. And I walked in and like right away, like I felt very like at ease, peaceful. And it was like just... the vibe was nice, I walk upstairs and then my massage therapist is greeting me. So she brings me into the room and then I get into the room and it was like instant grounding. The lighting was perfect. The sound was perfect. The temperature was perfect. Like everything was just nice, So I was just talking to the therapist for a few minutes and then she's like, okay, I'll let you like get yourself settled. And so I lie down, on the table, and the moment she touched me, like she put her 2 hands on my shoulder blades, and I could feel the love through her fingers. Like it was so soothing, and I was just like, I immediately just sunk into the table. Like it was just nice. So I'm there, like trying to be in the moment, and my head is going, like I was trying to come back to center, just come back to center, just enjoy the touch, enjoy the therapeutic feeling of it all. And then I'm laying there, and then like she's massaging me, and I was like, oh man, this girl must love her job. And then as I say this to myself, the light bulb came on, and I was like, I could do this. I was like, imagine just massaging people to earn a living and to just like, like share that gift and like be in that Zen element all the time. All the time. Like, I was like, I could do this. I was like, I used to be a nurse, right? I was like, I am not intimidated or shy with the human body, like I'm good with feet. I'm good with all of it. You know what I mean? So I was like, I could do this. So anyway, so that was the spark.
Yeah.
That was the spark. And then, the days pass by and I'm online, I'm researching and different schools. And it's like, and that's not something that's offered in like regular schooling, right? So everything is private when you want to become a massage therapist. So anyway, so I'm researching and then come to find out Om offers the massage therapist certification. So I was like, oh, what are the odds? So then I call and I'm talking to Antoine, one of the owners, and just the energy was just like perfect. There was no resistance. There was no red flag. There was and everything was just flowing. And I was like, okay. And, I've been off of work. So I was like, like the income was the thing. So I was like, okay, like, how does it work for payment? She's like, well, whatever you want. What do you want to do? I was like, can I do like, like weekly payments for 10 weeks? She's like, sure, whatever, that's fine. That works. I was like, okay.
Perfect.
So I signed up and it was like the financially the cheapest option available out there also, you know? And like I said, when everything aligned, like alignment. It could, like it just, now I'm telling you this and I have shivers because it was like, it was meant to be, I started my course and everything was like going super well. And I loved it, and because I've worked as a nurse before, I was a nursing assistant for a few years. So like, I was already familiar with the human body and the systems and the muscles and all that stuff. So it was like, almost like a refresher, you know what I mean? And then it was really just learning the actual massage techniques and I loved it. And then I started practicing and, like Claudia was one of my...
Yeah, it was amazing. Best month of my life.
Like every week she was going for a free massage. It was awesome. And...
you created your space.
I created my space that we're sitting in right now, actually. And I worked on my branding and on my website, pearlofjoymassagetherapy.com. Go check it out. And it's just one thing in front of the other. Like I said, there was no resistance over the process. And, I was still off of work, during this time. And that allowed me to, do what I had to do to become who I am today, right? Like, again, like the universe, you know, like gives you what you need when you need it, and everything happens for a reason and the right time. Like, just don't question it, you know? And
so easy.
And
don't question it.
Don't question it, you
Trust
know?
and
Like,
surrender.
Don't let your ego try to trick you. You know, I know I'm trying to protect you and all, but, you know, like, sometimes it just needs to take a seat, you know?
It really does.
So here I am. I am a certified massage therapist. I've also recently done my deep tissue certification.
Yes.
I'm loving that. Next step is maternity massages, because ultimately, so my mission is really to give back to the feminine vessel. So again, my healing, right? Like just going back to the beginning of the conversation. So we do so much for everything and everyone always, right? And we forget ourselves, and we have the guilt and all these emotions. So I want to serve women to just put love back into them, right? You know, so that they can, you know, relax and have any tension. You know, without getting too technical with the massage therapy, this is my way to give back. And I am so grounded in my purpose. And it's so like, I'm exactly where I was meant to be. And I'm just so happy that I took the leap of faith. And, you know, here I am, you know, trying to build my client, you know, my client base, and just do what I love, you know. And it's crazy, you know, like, the nursing that I did like 15 years ago wasn't for nothing, right?
Exactly.
Like, here we are today. So I'm just so grateful for all of it, all the tears, all the emotions, all the triggers, all the sadness, all the experiences, right? And even like being off of work or whatever, you know, like I had to like figure stuff out, right?
For sure.
So just grateful.
Yeah. But you had to do the work on yourself to be open to receiving this abundance and this alignment with your massage therapy.
You would have spoken to me 5 years ago, talk about like, can you leave your corporate job and like become like an entrepreneur and like build from the ground up? I was like, you crazy? Like, I can't afford it. I can't do this. I can't do that. All these limiting beliefs, right? Yeah. But then throughout time, like everything kind of just like fell into place, you know, like abundance came from places that I wasn't expecting it. And, you know, like we got help, and it was just, I was ready to receive and it came.
And your vibration matched the vibration of the abundance and the contracts and the clients and the opportunities. Yeah. When we're stuck in a lower vibing emotion, we're going to attracts like. Yeah. So you're going to attract more of that.
Scarcity mindset was huge. When I realized that my mindset was like, I lack of everything and I don't have enough of everything, that's when I was like, I was all stressed out and anxious, and how are we going to do this, and I can't do that.
And you hold on to everything.
Of course, because the ego's trying to protect you, right? Like, you can't afford to do this, and you don't have time to do this. So no, you have to hold on to this. You have benefits, you have like, you know, guaranteed income every 15 days. Okay.
But I'm miserable.
And I hate my life. Yeah. And I want to stay in bed, and I don't want to wake up in the morning. And I'm sitting in front of my computer, and I'm like flighty, and I'm on my phone, and I'm not because this is not what I need to be doing. I'm not in my purpose. I'm not, you know? And I've always had a quote unquote job. I've always had quote unquote benefits. Yeah. And now that I don't have these things, I've never been happier. It's so crazy. Like, I'm listening to myself, and I'm like, it's just do the work. Yeah, ladies and gents, do the work. I promise it's worth it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's been so inspiring to see you trust life. Because I mean, I've seen all of it. Yeah. I've known you for 5 years. You know, I started training you after you had Brendan. Yeah. Working on your physical health and, you know, getting yourself back into shape, working with some injuries and back pain. So I've seen you do the work. Yeah. I've seen the ugly depressed. I've seen you know, the last week we were like living our best lives, you know, at an event outside on a retreat. And it's been even for me, like just being really inspired to like trust and surrender, and then literally see the alignment week to week, you know, and just like sitting outside like, okay, universe, this is what I want for July. And then texting each other the next day. Okay, I got it, Chloe. Perfect. Yeah.
And you know, the other thing, right? As above, so below. Yeah. If it's you, it's me. If it's me, it's you. We are a mirror of one another. We are all a mirror of one another, right? Yeah. And, you know, like, you inspired me as much as I've inspired you. And it's just, again, like attract like, right? And we're just on the up and up and up and up, you know? And like, I'm excited for the future. And
for sure.
Excited for all of it.
Yeah. So what would you say to a woman who's listening to us right now? She's like, this sounds amazing. I'm miserable right now. I want to do the work. I want to maybe get a divorce, change my career, move to a different country. But, like, there's the but, right? There's the scarcity mindset. There's the limiting beliefs. There's the programming. But she's ready. She's inspired. Like, what would you tell her? Or what would you tell yourself 5 years ago?
Oh, my God.
Because you were probably in that state, too.
Yeah. You have the power to change, ultimately, right? If you're sitting with a specific anchor or something that's like keeping you where you are stagnant, dig. Yeah. Write it down. 7 layers. You taught me the 7 layers of, there's always a reason behind the reason. Mm-hmm. So really sit with it. Get tools in your toolbox. Reach out. Get a coach. Get a mentor. Yeah. Like surround yourself by like-minded people. Mm-hmm. This is also huge. Yeah. When you're surrounded by people that are miserable, I can guarantee you that you're going to be miserable. Yeah. Surround yourself people that inspire you, that lift you up, that encourage you. Mm-hmm. I am so blessed to have amazing girlfriends around me. And, like, my partner Nick tells me, like, when we first met, or throughout the years, he's told me, it's like, honestly, like, you have, like, the most amazing circle of friends. Like, I feel supported, I feel encouraged, I feel empowered, and we're all thriving in different regards, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so, and that's so important, your environment. If something doesn't feel right, it's because it's not serving you. Yeah. Release it. Yeah. Those relationships that are not serving you, those friends that are
holding you down
or ghosting you or holding you back or just, like all they do is complain about their life and how everything is going wrong for them. Release that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't serve you. Yeah. That's changing your environment will then help you change, Well, I guess that's kind of a catch-22 because I said earlier,
both ways.
It has to start from within, right? So you have the power within to recognize that your environment is unhealthy and not prosperous and to change that. Yeah. And then one thing after the other. And the other thing is you can't tackle everything all at once, okay? It's like you're telling me, like you can't change you can't start eating right and sleeping well and drinking your water and exercising. It's not going to work. Mm-hmm. One thing at a time. Yeah. Take your time. It takes 21 days to develop a habit. Minimum. I sound very wise, but I'm still working on that, But, so one thing at a time and give yourself grace. Yes. And there's a solution for everything, okay? There's a solution for everything. Yeah. Benefits are great, Yeah. But they're not everything. Mm-hmm. Obviously there's situations that, like if you have, a serious illness and stuff like that you need to be insured, totally different story. Yeah. But, like all these things that we hold on to, or like this programming that we have, right? Like, you're supposed to have this, and you're supposed to be married, and you're supposed to have a house, and you have achievements, and like checking the boxes is not life. Yeah, release all of that, So that was a lot. That was more than one advice, but like here we go.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that, for your honesty, vulnerability. Your wisdom.
So wise.
And I'm only so much to learn. Jesus.
It's like I look back at my 20s and I thought I was like living my best life and I had no freaking clue. And here I am, 37, going on 38, and like being in the best emotional state that I've ever been in my life. Yeah. And I'm so excited for my 40s. Like so excited. I'm excited for the future, for the growth, for the experiences,
the lessons learned.
For sure. And I'm gonna keep growing and I'm gonna keep getting triggered by stuff, and I'm just gonna, and it's an ongoing process. So, yes.
Yeah, love it. How can we get in touch with you if ever we want to chat or just book a massage with you?
Yeah, so I am on social media platforms. So I am on Facebook and on Instagram. So Pearl of Joy Massage Therapy. I also have a website, pearlofjoymassagetherapy.com. I'm sure you're gonna plug in the info on the
show notes. Absolutely.
And the universe, if we are meant to connect, the universe will find a way to connect us. Yes. So I'm very excited to meet you, whoever you may be, on the other side of it. Yeah. And yes, and ladies, please take care of yourself, because and Nick used to tell me this all the time. If mama's not okay, then nobody else is okay. Mm. Mama's not okay, the kids are not going to be okay. Everything's going to fall apart. Yeah. So mamas, ladies, take care of yourself.
Because look what can come out of it.
And what's a 90-minute in a month, right? book one 90-minute massage a month. That's your self-care. That's your grounding. You know, come more if you want. But I'm saying, like, what's 90 minutes in a month? Nothing.
Yeah.
We spend more days or more time scrolling on our phones,
For sure.
right, than doing that. So do something that will benefit you and that will ground you and that will pour love back into your vessel.
Yeah. So. Love it. All right, I got my final question for you.
I wasn't ready for that one. I was like, what's going to be like?
Yeah, you listen to my podcast, so you should know.
I know.
I always finish my interviews with the same question. What is your favorite quote and why?
Oh my goodness. So I actually mentioned it to the podcast. So one of my favorite quotes is from Mama D Tarot. She's a tarot reader, astrologer that I follow on YouTube. She's also on IG. And the quote is, if it's you, it's me. And if it's me, it's you. So we are all a reflection of one another. Yeah. And if something that someone else is doing is triggering you, is because you're probably mirroring that same behavior in a certain way, shape, or form. Yeah. Okay, to not run away from that, and because there's healing there. Where there's a trigger, there's a healing. So be less judgmental of other people, because again, what you're seeing is
a reflection of you.
Yeah.
Love you, my friend.
Thank you.
J'espère que cette conversation awesome t'a inspiré. Et d'ailleurs, I would love to hear back from you. Rejoins Karmakin sur les réseaux sociaux and tag me in a post pour partager ce que tu retiens de cet épisode. Je serais vraiment grateful aussi si tu pouvais me laisser un rating and review pour le podcast. Ça me permet d'avoir un impact positif sur plus de gens comme toi. Merci beaucoup d'avoir été à l'écoute, and until next time, je te souhaite une journée awesome.